Hi and welcome to the 5th day of me learning Protoss. So this time I go over gameplay footage of a game I played using the build I described in my last video. Just a quick summary, so this build was used by Parting in the DreamHack Winter 2015 tournament. Especially I saw it in the Firecake series. I think it was a semi-final, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, the build is pretty much a Stargate into Adept pressure that relies heavily on the mothership core for early defense and to get a 3-base economy going. So we start with a Nexus first, and from there on out go into Gateway, then straight into Stargate, put a little bit pressure on with the Oracle and the Void Ray, which is kinda special to at least hunt down some overlords and help defend our third base. From there on out we just macro up and get the necessary upgrades, especially those for the Adept. And then we go at a 7-minute attack somewhat. It's not really a dedicated attack. We could fall back on our 4-base economy at this point, but if we can close the game out, it's obviously the best choice. But let's focus on what we see here. I'm obviously not parting, so the execution of this build is nowhere near perfect, but at least in this game I think I did a okay job. My opponent didn't pressure me much, so I could focus on myself and try to do the build as best as I can. As you can see, this game was played on Prime Terraces. This is one of those maps you can wall off your natural with your first pylon and gateway and cybercore, which is good for this build as we don't build lots of buildings early. We just get the gateway, cybercore and the Stargate, and then the third nexus. So if we would have a bigger ramp, we would need more buildings to wall off the natural, which had to be adjusted in the build, so we would need a forge and maybe throw the Stargate down in the front. But on maps like Prime Terraces, Central Protocol, Dust Towers and Orbital Shipyard, the build works just fine. On other maps you would have to build the forge earlier, I think. Anyways, we are about 3 minutes into the game and slowly our unit production is ramping up. So we could, for example, go scouting with our first Adept, but I personally, as I said, I'm not used to the controls of Protoss yet. I decided not to scout with it and just keep it at home for defense, because I don't want it to lose it and was somewhat afraid of a circling roach attack. But this shouldn't be the biggest of deals, at least at my skill level, Platinum League currently, but it's definitely something to work on in the future. Okay, right after I start the Oracle I go to my natural, build double gas, get a pylon and send the same probe down to the third base location to get another pylon that allows me to establish an early defense at this location with the pylon overcharge and 3 adepts I got, so that I can take somewhat safely the third base. The Oracle should be ready by now, which is the cue for the next round of buildings I built. So right when my Oracle leaves the base, after hotkeying it, I throw down a forge and the third base. And if possible the 2 pylons I need at the third base to later wall in the cannon I will build there. Now I got about 10 seconds of downtime in which I can micro the Oracle before going back to base and building a Twilight Council, as well as starting the +1 research and the robotics facility. Also, while this is going on, the Void Ray should be queued around the map to hunt down scouting overlords. which I'm not doing the best job in this game. But at least the third base is secured and I got all the necessary buildings with a little bit of delay, obviously, as I wasted too much time microing the Oracle. So my Twilight Council is about 10 seconds late, but the bigger mistake is that I forget to queue up the Adept upgrade right away when it finishes. So as a benchmark, the Adept upgrade should start, or should be possible to start at around 5 minutes and 30 seconds. I think I started a whole minute later, which delays pretty much my whole build, and therefore even my attack is later, so everything from here on out could be a minute earlier. But some delay is expected, as we have seen in the DreamHack tournament that this build, if executed correctly, can beat even pro gamers and grandmaster players, so it's a very powerful build. I almost forget to talk about it, as Prime Terraces has a gold base as its third base. It should be possible to throw down, I don't know, maybe 3 extra gateways, so not the expected 9 gateways, but rather 12 gateways. At least that's what I'm choosing in this game. Now, as we are approaching the 7-minute mark, I'm throwing down the necessary buildings for a late game transition, as it is a 4th Nexus, a robotics bay for disruptors, and should get +2 upgrades, as well as Blink, to have the possibility in the late game go for Blink Stalker Disruptor Army, which should be possible to kill the Zerg player, I think, at least with the denied 4th base. But as I made a lot of mistakes and delayed my units for some reason, as well as forgot to upgrade the Adept upgrade, Resonating Glaives I think is it's called, my move out is 1.5 minutes later as it could be. But my opponent is no Grandmaster, so he is probably delayed about the same time, so I can fight him head on in this fight, even though I make the mistake to not even look for the 4th base, which is pretty much the goal of this build. But the layout of Prime Terraces doesn't make it really easy, as I would have to go around from behind, as there is a big terrain block in the middle of the map. As it comes down to tactics in the engagement, our goal isn't necessarily to kill off the enemy army and have an army left standing that kill the Zerg off. It's more like we use our initial adepts to distract the main army of the Zerg, to allow our warp prison to warp in additional adepts behind enemy lines to kill off every single drone he has. That sets the Zerg so far behind that even if he loses every single unit and he has still an army left standing, he shouldn't be able to deal with our late game transition of Blinkstalker Disruptor. Yeah, that's about it, so thanks for watching and maybe see you in the next video.
Glorious combat is upon us.
Your warriors have engaged the enemy.